Welcome back, Arbor League, and today we are taking a look at a team style that has done really well for me in Master League, is extremely fun to run, and hard walls both forms of Necrozma. So like and subscribe and turn notifications on, and let's take a look at the team. So today we are running Togekiss in the lead with Charm, Ancient Power, and Legacy Aura Sphere. Then we've got Obstagoon with Counter, Night Slash, and Legacy Obstruct. And Greninja in the back with Water Shoryuken, Night Slash, and Legacy Hydro Cannon. The rating we have for this team is a lousy DBFA. Now it did start out as just having fun, but despite the lack of bulk, it has actually performed relatively well for me. This team was decent pre-counter nerf as a couple seasons ago, but it still holds up today. You could run Lick on Obstagoon, but then you start losing more matches according to PV Poke. I did consider Lick for things like Giratina Origin, Metagross, Solgaleo, Necrozma, Mewtwo, and the Fairies, but it's that fighting counter damage and that energy gain that you need for opposing Darks and Steels like Zarude, Yveltal, Dialga, Excadrill, etc. As for Lick on the Fairies, things like Togekiss, Primarina, Xerneas, Zacian, you will end up doing neutral damage, and it is super effective to Gardevoir, but counter is still the preferred move. Now you can run Cross Chop for the second move on Obstagoon, but I'm running Obstruct for the debuff, and a lot of times because of that you will get the shield. So if you do survive one shield scenarios, you can always debuff with Obstruct, lowering the opponent's defense while boosting your own, increasing that fast move pressure, and finishing off with Charm when you come back in with Togekiss. So if you don't have these Pokemon and you have no faith in spice picks like I do, the style still works, as it is Fairy Double Dark. Yveltal works, Incineroar, Zarude, Crunch Zygarde, Darkrai, etc. These are basically Psychic and Ghost counters. Now Zarude definitely helps more with Landorus, Kyogre, Groudon, Palkia, etc. But if you have a Kyogre lead, for example, the waterfall damage can become oppressive. You can either safe swap Greninja right away or try to catch a resisted Surf. You'll either bait out another Fairy or get the Kyogre really low with some Night Slashes, as Greninja is still glassy. So you can 2-shield in some of those scenarios if, depending if switch matters or not. So Fairies can handle most of the non-steel types, as there are a lot of dragons and masters, and Charm is pretty oppressive to most neutral situations. As for core breakers, Melmetal's steel typing plus the move of superpower, it being fighting, core breaks this team, so we will have to dance around it. And if you are a fan of this channel, you know we can pull off some crazy stuff. We don't know what core breakers are here, nor do we care. They don't exist on this channel. We've seen Victory Bell take out Rayquaza. So with Dialga, you will have to shield a super effective Iron Head on Togekiss, but you can charm it down and either safe swap to Obstagoon and have the super effective counters, or catch a resistant Iron Head on Greninja, as water resists steel. On a side note, if you have Primarina in the lead, you can take one Iron Head, and those Dragon Breaths are resistant enough where you can one shield charm down. But Thunderbolt Melmetal is kind of scary though, as your waters do not want to see that as much as your flyer doesn't. So for steel leads, you can take your pick of a safe swap of either Goon or Ninja, and hopefully your other backliner can handle that, plus whatever else is in back. So exactly what happened here with this Greninja, we have baited out a Fairy. But the charm is so oppressive, Greninja is so glassy, we're only going to make 2 Hydro Cannons here. So the Togekiss can shield one or both of them, it does not matter, because we will still lose that switch. And we have a shield, so we can come back in with our own Togekiss here. No, Goon doesn't want to see that at all, but this Togekiss is low enough we can shield one of the respective ancient powers, and hopefully they don't get a boost, which they do throw. They don't have Flamethrower or have not revealed it. And we don't have to worry about them getting to another move, so we can charm this opponent down all the way and come out with an Aura Sphere and Ancient Power. Now, the Gyarados does have Waterfall, so again, we're getting pretty low, but they shield our Ancient Power, which is pretty good, and they throw. So we're going to shield this up because the Flying type on Gyarados is resists the counter damage, and we want to get as much charm damage, plus we make this next ancient power. So this one should KO Gyarados from this range. Does it? Barely, but we've got Obstagoon here, and there's just a Dragonite in the back, which I have to surrender because of that superpower. So hopping into the next match here, we've got Togekiss up against Necrozma, so you get a pick of which save swap that we get here. We're going to go Goon. Now, I probably should have... I mean, you could go either or. The Shadow Claws are triple resisted by Obstagoon's Dark and Normal type. We bait on a Dragon, which is pretty good. Now, we might get a shield coming back in with the Togekiss here because they might think that we still have Flamethrower. So that Flamethrower is good to have for those steals coming back in. We're just going to go ahead and do some neutral damage here to Dragonite, but we actually get a shield. I don't know what they're shielding here. We haven't boosted it all yet, so we're just going to let everything go here and get a bunch of energy on Togekiss. They do end up going for that superpower, which is the correct play. Otherwise, their defense would still be at normal, and when we come back in with that Togekiss, since their defense is lowered, we get less farm. Their attack is also dropped, so everything here will not be doing as much damage as it did, but they only have superpower, no Hurricane, but they switch clock is up, and we can 2-shield this Necrozma with Greninja. Now, as you can see here, I think that was just a Dark Pulse they're going to be throwing here. They have Sunsteel Strike, which does a lot of damage despite it being resisted, because Greninja is still tissue paper in the Master League here, so that Night Slash actually does a considerable amount of damage. And because of that Water Shuriken, we charge pretty quickly ourselves. So this will be taking care of the Necrozma if they do not shield, which they do not, and we get the boost. So can we make that next Night Slash? Yes, we can. That Dragonite did not make a move, but it would have won CMP as well, because Obstagoon here barely makes 3,000 CP. He gets about 2,900 or so, even with Best Buddying, and Greninja only makes about 3,000. So we've got 2 shield up against Mewtwo here. So this looks like a pretty good game for us, and we can charm down what's left of the Dragonite. So yeah, because of that low CP, we're not going to be winning CMP or Charge Attack Priority as much as we'd like to. But we are just trying to counter backlines and Necrozmas and Mewtwo's here. So that's the goal of this team. The opponent surrenders, and we take that match. So doing okay with this team so far. I think I thought that was a 5, but we've got one more on the way, and we've got a Zacian. So this kind of core breaks as well, but they're on Snarl here, so our backline resists that, but they've still got access to things like Wild Charge, Play Rough, Close Combat, which our backline does not want to see. So we have to stay in this matchup. So Zacian's on the lead. I think they will have Play Rough and Close Combat. I mean, they could have anything, but we're going to shield a potential Wild Charge up. I think we still might survive one, but we just want to play it safe here. So I think we do let this one go through. We barely survive a Wild Charge. Our Flyers do not want to see it, so they probably do have Close Combat. That's why they went for the Play Rough. We, at the expense of one shield, but we're up a Pokemon versus the Pokemon, and we've got Dialga comes in. This Dialga is okay. The Flamethrower will do an okay amount of damage because it is neutral, resisted by that Dragon, but we've got Aura Sphere. Does the opponent respect the damage? They do not, and get one-shotted by Togekiss, and we have Obstagoon and Greninja versus our dark backline here. We can let this go because they don't want us to get to another ancient power. They've still got shields, but we've got 2 darks ready to go, and the goal of here is just to grab the shields. I mean, the Mewtwo could have access to Focus Blast, Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, but they've just got Psy Strike, and as you can see, even a resisted Psy Strike hurts Greninja so much. It does about 1/3 of our HP. But we're just going to spam out these Night Slashes, which Mewtwo will absolutely shield, and even Shadow Ball. I mean, Shadow Ball does a considerable amount of damage to Greninja too, despite it being resisted, but I think we can build up to 2 more, and at this range, Mewtwo will have to shield both Night Slashes. We have not revealed our Obstagoon yet, but now we can, and it is absolutely over. Mewtwo cannot throw that triple resisted non-stab Shadow Ball at Goon. they just have the size strike and can't do anything about it. So we're just going to go for the BM of Obstruct here. We've still got some health on Greninja we can play around with, but because we've got 2 Darks versus Mewtwo, we're just going to go for it all the way. So I'm calling this. I'm not shielding. Come on, throw your Focus Blast. He does not have it, and we are going to non-stab, nerfed, counter, resisted counter Mewtwo all the way down and take that last win. So pretty fun team to run. Counters everything that I was aiming for, which I was countering a lot of, as I said, the Metagross, the Solgaleo, Necrozma, Mewtwo, all the psychic backlines that we see. This team absolutely counters, charm everything else down. Bob's your uncle. At 4-1, but this happened a couple seasons ago, so don't worry about that ranking, but doing okay with this team. If you're enjoying the content, don't forget to like and subscribe and turn notifications on, as there will be much more Pokemon Go content to come. So check out the Discord, come hang out, discuss teams or some nonsense, stream some battles, or post your teams and get featured in a future graphic or video. We're also on Facebook if Discord isn't your thing. My updates page, the group, and chat link is available in the description. And we might be straight out of TMs, but we are not straight out of merch. We've got some shirts, hoodies, magnets, or coffee mugs to check out with my branding on it, so be sure to check that out as well. But that's all I've got for today, guys. Thank you again so much for watching and supporting the channel. I've been ArborAndy, and I'll see you buds in the next one.